I have been a 911 operator for 5 years. In that time, I have talked people through car accidents, heart attacks, home invasions, and childbirth. I have heard fear, panic, and desperation more times than I can count. But I have also heard gratitude, relief, and hope. I thought I had heard it all. I thought nothing could surprise me anymore. My fiancée Bridget used to tell people how proud she was of me. She would say I saved lives every single shift. I believed her. I believed we were building something solid, something real. We had been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. But that Tuesday night, when a familiar voice came through my headset, everything I believed shattered in a single sentence. Before I tell you what happened that night, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you have ever had your world shattered by someone you trusted, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear more real stories like this one. This one is about to get heavy, so grab a seat. Let's dive in. It was a Tuesday night in October. I had the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. The air outside was cold autumn wind biting through jackets. Before I left for work, Bridget told me she was staying in. She said she would watch Netflix, maybe order takeout, and go to bed early. I kissed her goodbye at the door. She smiled at me, her brown eyes warm. She said, "Be safe, I love you." I said, "Love you too, babe. See you in the morning." It felt normal. It felt like every other night. I had no idea it would be the last time I believed anything she said. The dispatch center where I work is a large room filled with computers and blue-lit screens. There were 3 of us on shift that night. Marcus, a 40-year-old veteran who had been doing this for 15 years. Sierra, a 32-year-old woman who liked to talk during slow hours. And me. We each sat in our own booth headsets on waiting for calls. I made myself a cup of coffee and settled in. It was going to be a long night. The first 2 hours were typical. At 10:30 p.m., an elderly man called because he had slipped in his bathroom. I dispatched an ambulance and stayed on the line until they arrived. At 11:15 p.m., a woman called about a minor car accident. No injuries, just 2 frustrated drivers exchanging insurance. I transferred her to the non-emergency line. At 11:45 p.m., a neighbor complained about loud music. I forwarded it to the noise complaint department. Nothing unusual. I sipped my coffee and thought about Bridget. I figured she was probably asleep by now, curled up under our gray comforter. I smiled at the thought. I checked the clock. 12:30 a.m. I poured another cup of coffee. It tasted bitter, but I needed it. At 12:47 a.m., my phone console lit up. I pressed the button and said, "911, what is your emergency?" A woman's voice screamed through the line, "Please, please help me, he is not breathing." Her voice was high-pitched, frantic, shaking with terror. I went into automatic mode. "Ma'am, I need you to calm down. Tell me what happened." She gasped for air. "My lover, he stopped breathing. I do not know what to do." My blood turned to ice. That voice. I knew that voice. It was shaky, distorted by panic, but I knew it. It was Bridget, my fiancée, the woman I was supposed to marry. And she had just said my lover. I felt my chest tighten, but I could not let my emotions show. I was a professional. People's lives depended on me staying calm. I forced my voice to remain steady. "What is your address?" She choked out the words. 1847 Maple Grove Drive. I typed the address into the system. It was in the suburbs about 15 minutes from our apartment. I dispatched an ambulance immediately. "Is he conscious? Is he breathing at all?" She sobbed. "No. No, I think his heart stopped. We were together, and then he just collapsed. I knew for certain now. The way she said together, the way she repeated. I think when she panicked, it was Bridget. 100%. My fiancé was calling 911 for another man, a man she had been with, intimately, and he had collapsed. My mind screamed. My heart felt like it was being crushed. But my mouth kept talking. "Ma'am, I need you to start CPR. Can you do that?" She cried harder. I do not know how I walked her through it step by step, place both hands on the center of his chest, push hard and fast about 2 times per second. I could hear her moving, hear her breathing heavily as she tried to follow my instructions. Marcus glanced over at me. He must have seen my face. "You good man," I nodded and waved him off. "I am fine. Just a tough call." I turned back to the phone. Bridget's voice came through again between sobs. I told him we should not. I told him this was wrong. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt, but I kept my voice level. "Keep doing CPR. Paramedics are 3 minutes away." She was crying. "Please do not let him die. Please," I heard sirens in the background. She gasped. "They are here, thank God they are here." I said, "Stay on the line with me until they take over." I heard a door bang open, heavy footsteps, a male voice, calm and authoritative. "We have got him, ma'am. You can hang up now." The call ended. 12:53 a.m., 6 minutes. That call lasted 6 minutes. And in those 6 minutes, my entire world collapsed. I sat there staring at my computer screen. The address was still glowing on the monitor. 1847 Maple Grove Drive. I typed a note into the system. Possible cardiac arrest during intimate activity. Female caller extremely distressed. I did not write Bridget's name. I could not. Not yet. Marcus walked over. "Chaim, you sure you are okay? You look like you have seen a ghost." I forced a weak smile. "Yeah, just intense." He studied my face for a moment. "Want me to grab you some water?" I shook my head. "I am good. Thanks." He walked away unconvinced. My thoughts were racing. Bridget was supposed to be home. Our home. Watching Netflix. Instead, she was 15 minutes away with another man. In his bed. And he had almost died. How long had this been going on? How many times had she lied to me? How many nights had she said she was working late or meeting her friend Sarah or going to the gym? How many times had I believed her? I looked at the incident report. At 1:15 a.m., it updated. Patient stabilized. Transported to St. Luke's Hospital. Suspected cardiac event during physical exertion. He survived. Good for him. But that did not change anything. I did not call Bridget. I did not text her. She had no idea I was the operator who took her call. And I was not going to tell her. Not yet. I had 5 hours left on my shift. 5 hours to decide what to do. And by the end of those 5 hours, I knew exactly what I would do. The rest of my shift dragged on like a slow death. Between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., I took more calls. A drunk driver swerving on the highway. A domestic disturbance in an apartment complex. Another medical emergency, this time an elderly woman with chest pain. I handled each call professionally, mechanically. But my mind was somewhere else. It kept replaying Bridget's voice. My lover. He stopped breathing. We were together. Every memory I had with her started to twist. I remembered the time she told me she could not live without me. I remembered when she said yes to my proposal, tears streaming down her face, her arms around my neck. I remembered every "I love you," every kiss, every promise. Were any of them real, or was I just the safe choice, the stable guy with a steady job while she slept with someone else at 3 a.m.? I took my break. I walked outside into the cold October air and sat in my car. I pulled out my phone and looked at a photo of us. It was from the beach taken during our engagement photo shoot. We were both smiling, the ocean behind us, her left hand raised to show the ring. The ring I had saved for 6 months to buy. Looking at that picture now, it felt like a cruel joke. I thought about my options. I could confront her immediately, call her, scream at her, demand answers. But what would that accomplish? She would cry, apologize, make excuses. She would say it was a mistake, that he meant nothing, that she loved me. And maybe part of me would want to believe her. No. I was not going to give her that chance. I was not going to let her manipulate me with tears and apologies. I could gather more evidence, hire a private investigator, go through her phone. But why? I already had all the evidence I needed. I heard it with my own ears. She called 911 for another man. She called him her lover. That was enough. Or I could walk away. Quietly. Cleanly. No arguments. No begging. No drama. Just pack her things and leave before she got home. Let her come back to an empty apartment and realize it was over. That was the option I chose. I would not beg for answers. I would not ask why. I would not give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. By the time she walked through that door, I would be gone, and so would any trace of us. I sat in my car and planned every detail. My shift ended at 6 a.m. I would drive home immediately. I had old cardboard boxes in the garage from when we moved in. I would pack everything that belonged to her. Clothes, shoes, makeup, books, everything. I would leave it all by the door. I would write a short note. And then I would leave. I would stay at my friend Dylan's place for a few days until I figured out my next move. I went back inside at 3:30 a.m. Sierra was eating a granola bar. She looked at me. "You have been quiet all night. Everything okay?" I nodded. "Just tired." She did not push. Marcus caught my eye from across the room. He gave me a knowing look, like he could tell something was wrong, but respected my space. At 4 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Bridget. "Hey babe, hope your shift is going okay. Miss you. See you in the morning." I stared at that message for a full minute. She had the audacity to text me like nothing had happened. Like she had not just been with another man. Like she had not called 911 screaming for his life. I felt sick. I did not reply. I set my phone down and went back to work. At 5 a.m., Marcus came over during a quiet moment. "Chaim, I have worked here 15 years. I can tell when someone is carrying something heavy." I stayed silent. He continued. "You do not have to tell me. But whatever it is, do not let it eat you alive. Make a decision and stick with it." I looked at him and nodded. I already did. He clapped me on the shoulder. "Good man." By 5:30 a.m., I was counting down the minutes. I took 2 more calls, a noise complaint, a welfare check on an elderly neighbor. I handled them quickly, efficiently. At 6 a.m., I logged out of the system. I took off my headset. Marcus and Sierra said, "See you tomorrow night, Chaim." I said, "Yeah, see you." But I knew tomorrow would be different. Everything would be different. I walked out of the dispatch center. The sky was starting to lighten, a soft orange glow on the horizon. I got into my car, started the engine, and sat there for a moment. No music, no radio. Just the sound of my breathing and the hum of the engine. I had work to do, and I needed to do it fast. I pulled into the parking lot of our apartment complex at 6:25 a.m. The building was quiet. Most people were still asleep. I walked up the stairs to the second floor and unlocked the door. The apartment looked the same as always. Bridget's shoes were not by the door. She was not home yet. She was probably still at the hospital or wherever she went after. I did not care. I had maybe an hour, maybe two before she came back. That was enough time. I went to the garage and grabbed 8 cardboard boxes. They were left over from when we moved in a year ago. I brought them into the living room along with packing tape and a marker. I stood in the middle of the apartment and looked around. This place had been ours. Now it was just mine. And I was going to erase every trace of her. I started in the bedroom. I opened the closet and pulled out all of her clothes. Work dresses, jeans, sweaters, t-shirts, pajamas. I folded each item carefully and placed them in a box. I was not going to throw her things around like trash. I was not angry in that way. I was just done. Her clothes smelled like her perfume. I tried not to think about it. I packed 2 full boxes just with clothes. Next, I packed her shoes. She had about 15 pairs. Heels, sneakers, boots, sandals. I placed each pair carefully into another box. Her purses and scarves went in with them. I taped the box shut and wrote shoes and accessories on the side with the marker. I moved to the bathroom. Her skincare products lined the counter. Moisturizer, face wash, makeup, perfume. I swept it all into a smaller box. Her purple toothbrush sat in the holder next to mine. I grabbed it and tossed it in. Then I saw the blister pack of birth control pills on the shelf. I stared at it for a second. At least she was careful. With him. I shook my head and packed it away. In the living room, I took her books off the shelf. She loved romance novels. The irony was not lost on me. I packed them into a box along with her laptop, iPad, and earbuds. There were framed photos of her with her family on the side table. I packed those too. I did not take the photos of us together. Those could stay. I would throw them away later. In the kitchen, I found a few items that were hers. A cast iron skillet. She had bought a set of Japanese knives she loved. I wrapped them carefully in dish towels and placed them in a box. I did not want anything to break. Not because I cared about her, but because I cared about doing this right. I went back to the bedroom and opened her jewelry box. Necklaces, earrings, bracelets. I packed them all. But the engagement ring was not there. She was not wearing it last night. She had taken it off before she went to meet him. That realization hit me like a punch. She had planned it. She knew what she was doing. She removed her ring so he would not see it. I packed the last few items. Her yoga mat, charging cables, a few decorative items she had bought. By 7:45 a.m., I had 7 boxes packed and lined up by the door. The apartment looked emptier now, but it also felt lighter. I sat down at the kitchen table and pulled out a piece of paper. I wrote by hand. Bridget, I was the 911 operator who took your call last night. 1847 Maple Grove Drive, 12:47 a.m. I know everything. Your things are packed. Please arrange to pick them up this week. I will leave them with the building manager. Do not contact me. Do not try to explain. It will not change anything. The engagement is over. Please mail the ring back. Chaim. I folded the letter and placed it on top of the first box. It was short. It was cold. It was final. And that was exactly what I wanted. I grabbed my backpack and packed a few days' worth of clothes, my laptop, and my charger. I would stay at Dylan's place while I figured out my next move. I pulled out my phone and called him. It rang 3 times before he picked up. Dude, it is 8 in the morning. You okay? I said, can I crash at your place for a few days? There was a pause. Then he said what happened. I will tell you when I get there. His voice softened. Doors open, man. I am here. I stood at the door and looked back at the apartment one last time. 3 years. 3 years of my life spent with someone who was lying to me. I locked the door and started walking down the stairs. That is when I saw her. Bridget's car pulled into the parking lot. She got out looking exhausted. Her hair was messy. Her clothes were wrinkled. She looked up and saw me. Our eyes met. She froze. Chaim. I did not say anything. I just looked at her for 1 second. Then I turned and walked to my car. She shouted, Chaim, wait. Let me explain. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw her standing in the middle of the parking lot crying. I did not look back again. I drove in silence. The sky was fully bright now. The streets were starting to fill with morning traffic. I turned on the radio. A country song was playing. Something about moving on. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel happy. But for the first time in 6 hours, I felt free. And that was enough. Dylan lived in a small house on the east side of town. When I pulled up, he was already standing on the porch with a cup of coffee. He handed it to me without a word. I sat down on the steps and told him everything. The call, Bridget's voice, the packing, the look on her face when I drove away. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he just shook his head. Man, that is beyond messed up. But you did the right thing. You kept your dignity. I nodded. It did not feel like much of a victory, but I knew he was right. Over the next few days, Bridget tried to contact me. My phone lit up with missed calls, dozens of them. Text messages came in waves, long paragraphs. It was a mistake, he meant nothing. Please, let's talk. I love you. I did not read most of them. After 3 days, I blocked her number. I did not need to hear her excuses. I did not need closure from her. I had already closed that door myself. I kept going to work. The night shifts helped. They kept me busy, kept my mind focused. Marcus and Sierra could tell something had happened, but they did not pry. Work became my anchor. I realized that even though that night had broken me, it did not take away the meaning of what I did. I still answered calls. I still helped people. I still made a difference. A week later, an envelope arrived at Dylan's house. I had updated my address with the post office. Inside was the engagement ring. No note. No apology. Just the ring. I held it in my hand and felt nothing. A few weeks later, I sold it and used the money to take a trip to the mountains. I needed space. I needed air. The first month was the hardest. I woke up in the middle of the night, sometimes thinking about her, wondering if any of it had been real. But I did not let myself spiral. I started going to the gym more. I read books about moving forward, about self-worth. I spent time with Dylan and other friends. I started to rebuild. By the second month, I moved into my own studio apartment. It was small, but it was mine. I decorated it the way I wanted. No compromises, no shared decisions. Just me. It felt good. It felt like taking control of my life again. I threw myself into work with a new sense of purpose. That terrible night reminded me that life is fragile. People make mistakes, but I could still help. I could still save lives. I could still make a difference. And that mattered more than anything Bridget had taken from me. I made new friends through Dylan. We started going hiking on weekends. None of them knew about Bridget. I did not need to explain my past. It was a fresh start, and I took it. By the third month, I started to feel okay. I was not healed completely, but I was no longer in pain. When I thought about Bridget, I just felt sad. Sad for what I lost, but not regretful about my choice. I did the right thing. I walked away with my dignity, and that was something no one could take from me. Now, 6 months later, I am still a 911 operator. I am still single, but I am not in a hurry to find someone new. I am taking a few courses to become a paramedic, maybe even a firefighter someday. My life is simple, but it is mine, and it has meaning. I learned something important through all of this. Trust once broken cannot be taped back together, and that is okay. Not everyone deserves your trust. I also learned that dignity matters more than answers. I did not beg. I did not scream. I did not ask her why, because my dignity was worth more than her explanations. I learned that when someone shows you who they really are, you should believe them and act accordingly. Do not wait. Do not make excuses for them. Just act. Healing is not about forgetting. It is about accepting what happened and choosing to move forward anyway. I do not hate Bridget. I do not wish bad things on her. I just do not think about her anymore. And that is freedom. Sometimes the best revenge is no revenge at all. It is just walking away and building something better. People ask me sometimes if I ever heard from Bridget again. I have not, and I do not need to. That night, the night I heard her voice through my headset calling for help for someone who was not me, it shattered me. But it also set me free. Because I realized something. Love should not require you to ignore red flags. It should not ask you to accept betrayal. And it definitely should not make you feel small. I do not know what happened to her. I do not know if she is happy or if she thinks about me or if she regrets what she did. And honestly, I am okay with not knowing. Because my life now, it is mine. And that is more than enough. If you have ever been where I was listening to someone you love prove they do not love you back, know this. You deserve better. And walking away does not make you weak. It makes you brave. So yeah, that is my story. The night my fiancée called 911 for her lover not knowing I was listening. And the morning I chose myself. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because they betrayed your trust? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more real-life stories about love loss and finding strength. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who needs to know that choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there who is going through something similar. You are stronger than you think, and you deserve someone who chooses you every single day. Take care of yourself. And remember, walking away is sometimes the bravest thing you can do.